Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Star Wars Meg, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at gambling in Star Wars and how gambling worked across the galaxy. Before we get to the video guys, please may I ask you to hit like on this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the alert bell to be notified every time I upload a video. I'm very consistent on this channel, and without further ado, let's get on with it. So it turned out that gambling was very popular across the galaxy, but it was more prominent in certain areas such as Tatooine. We do actually see this in The Phantom Menace. Of course, the Hutt dynasty at the time were huge gamblers, and everyone on Tatooine kind of follows suit with those Hutts. Garjula the Hutt, who was Anakin and Shmi's owner, lost Anakin obviously to the race that we see in The Phantom Menace. Other planets that it was popular on were Lothal, Sulost, Taigin, Vandor, and so on, and gambling reached its peak in the galaxy during the Galactic Empire, specifically between episode 4 and 6, A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. So I want to explain how gambling really worked in Star Wars, because it all seemed to center around a game which was called Sabacc. And it was the name of a popular card game with numerous variations. It's actually believed that there were 80 variations of Sabacc. One form was the Corellian spike, famous on Corellia itself, which used a 6-sided dice, but the standard form is the one that we're going to be looking into today. While it's fair to say that it was a game of skill, just like any form of gambling, it's mostly just chance. And it was played with 2 to 8 players. You could play it just with one person, or you could play it with 7 other people. And players would take turns to be the dealer, unlike, in the human world where it's frowned upon that the players also deal, unless obviously it's a private game. And it was always done in a clockwise sort of fashion. And the goal of Sabacc was to have a final hand of cards which totaled 23 or minus 23 without going over. Going over was seen as a bad thing, especially if you went to 24. You might think it's close to 23, but it's seen as a highly detrimental thing in the game of Sabacc. So a hand with a total of 23 was the aim, or as close to as possible. And what would happen is that each player would donate to the Sabacc pot, which is, the collection of money. And the game would start where the dealer shuffled the deck before dealing one card to each player, including him or herself, in rotation. So the dealer would then repeat another rotation until each player had 2 cards face down. And starting from the dealer's left, so the player that was on the left, each player would say what their hands total to, and of course the one that was closer to 23 would win that round. After this, each player would have a chance to trade a card with another one from the deck, and whichever card got traded got discarded, basically, so that it couldn't go through what's called a Sabich Shift, which is where the card was redistributed to another player. And if this happened, all the cards that were not in the center, which is called the interface field, were randomly just changed for value, and whatever the player had in his or her hand was the final hand for the round. And so this process was repeated, and the player with the highest hand totaling 23 or lower won the round. And that's basically how it worked. There were 2 perfect hands in Sabacc, 2 hands which were very sought after, and these were called the Pure Sabacc and the Idiot's Array. A perfect Sabacc, or a pure Sabacc, was a hand that totaled exactly 23 or exactly minus 23, and it could only be beaten by the other kind of preferred hand in Sabacc, which was called the Idiot's Array. And this sounds very funny. It was a hand that consisted of the Idiot card and a 2 card of any suit. Suit is kind of like spades, queens, except obviously in Star Wars there was a different name for these. But interestingly, there would be suits that were valued in minus numbers and those that were valued in positive numbers. For example, the Commander card numbered 12, the Mistress card number 13, the Master number 14, the Ace number 15, and then the -1s were the Balance card, which was -11, the Idiot card was 0, the Endurance card was -8, the Moderation -14, the Evil one -15, the Queen of Air and Darkness -2, the Demise -13, and finally the Star was -17, or in some versions of the game it was actually -10. So that's basically how Sabacc worked, and that was the main gambling game of the galaxy. That was how a lot of, gamblers made their money, a lot of drunks made their money. Lando Calrissian specifically was a very big player. Han Solo in his younger days played Sabacc as well. And it was just an all-around way for a lot of people to, try their hand at gambling. And it was extremely popular on Canto Bight that we see in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. And that is how it worked. So that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm Star Wars Meg, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day no matter where you are in the galaxy.